Well, welcome back to Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading. Well, today we have our third exciting Homelite chainsaw video. This is a new acquisition here. This is a second saw that I've gotten from people watching my videos. The first one was Still 051 that my friend Randy gave me after watching me run my big still on my kindling cutter chainsaw video. And this one, a fellow YouTuber, Smitty's Chainsaws and Firewood, watched my video on why Mr. Obsolete uses nothing but vintage chainsaws, and he saw my little Homelite Super 2 that he really wanted, and it's kind of an unusual saw. You can watch that video and you'll see, he'll talk about the features, but it was a West Coast version. Had a full wrap handlebar and a muffler shield and some other features that were not on the saws on the East Coast like he had, and I'd quit using it about 6 years ago and then given it to my son to use, and he only used it a few times, and so I have plenty of other small chainsaws to use. And so I traded him a Homelite 150 I had and the Super 2 for this, and part of the deal was I sent him 2 non-running saws, and I said I just wanted a saw back that ran, and so he did a really nice job on this saw. He fixed the air leaks on it, fixed the oiler, and just did some nice upgrades on it. Better reed cage and stuff. It runs really good. So anyway, this is a 1972, and it's what they call a Super XL automatic. It's 58cc. The thing this has over the standard XL, and then unusual to this one, it has a manual override oil pump on it, and it also has automatic oil pump. And that's one feature I really like, because if you're in a cut and you hit a place where you got a big knot or a pitch or dirt or something like that, and your saw starts to slow down, you can pump a lot of extra oil on it. The saw will pick right up and start cutting just as fast again, but it also protects your bar, lubricates it really good, and the bars and the chain last. So anyway, that's why I like features like that, because these saws were designed to last for a long time, not like today's saws where you throw them away. And this particular basic saw, the XL12 series, was made for 24 years, and so the nice thing about them, parts are still pretty easy to find for them. You don't need a lot if you take care of them. But unlike a modern saw, you go in and need some parts and it's 3 years old, and the guy says, well, parts are available for 3 years or 36 months, whichever is first. After that, the only thing you buy is a spark plug. Get out of here. So anyway, these old saws are really much better. One of the unusual features of this saw, it has a relatively slow engine speed when it's cutting of 6,000 RPM. Most new saws today run up 12, 13, 14,000, and older saws of this era usually run into 8 to 10, but these have a really good balance of power and torque, and so they're still really good cutters. And so for a farm or a homeowner or something like that, these were a top choice, like I say, for 24 years. For good reason. These were really good saws. The other thing that's kind of unusual on them is the exhaust sound on them. It's like no other saw I've ever run. It's quite loud for one thing. It has a real sharp pitch to it, a real snap to it and stuff, and that means it has fairly advanced porting in it, but they put a limitation on how well it could breathe, so it wouldn't run really fast, and therefore it would last for years and years. So anyway, it's just kind of an interesting piece, and like I say, this is a super seller for Homelite, and put them from just being a so-so to a huge seller. So anyway, we'll be back and do some cutting. Okay, well, we're going to do some cuts here and compare the two saws. This is the 54cc, so we'll get it fired up and be back when it's warmed up. Well, you can see that cuts really good still. Okay, we'll get the Super XL warmed up and be back. Well, the one thing I can see is it actually has more horsepower than the other one, but better yet, it has more torque, so it really cuts through this stuff good. So we'll get a couple more shots. You can see the chips are fairly small. Both of the chains on these saws are filed down to virtually nothing, but you can see they still cut really good. Plenty usable. Be back in a sec. Well, I just wanted to talk briefly about some of the differences in the saws. The Super XL definitely more powerful, more torque, but both perfectly great firewood saws. The one thing, they're both the same year. The blue and white ones were phased out during '72, and the red and black ones came in that year. But this has an all metal cover on the air cleaner. This one's plastic. And if you look at the mufflers, this one's twice as thick, twice as big. Probably helps it breathe more. This has a 20-inch bar. XL12 there's got a 24-inch bar, but cutting the wood we did is about 8 inches. Doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So, would Mr. Obsolete recommend these saws? You bet.